Jim Jordan, let me go. So let me understand the testimony of John Durham today. They never corroborated a single thing in Hillary's dirty dossier, but they used it to get 4 FISA applications approved. Andrew McCabe said without the dossier, they never would have got any of them approved. And then, of course, there was no reason at all to even open Operation Crossfire Hurricane.
Right.
And then we had lying. Go ahead.
Never corroborated anything ever in the dossier, opened the investigation without the proper predicate, without probable cause. But I think the most compelling thing that happened was in the summer of 2016, our government gets intelligence that says this all was a made-up story from the Clinton campaign. She approved it to take the pressure off of her email scandal. That is so credible that John Brennan briefs President Obama, Vice President Biden, Attorney General Lynch, and Director Comey, and then he puts it into a memo called a referral memorandum. That memo is given to Comey and Peter Strzok. They failed to take it to the FISA court. They failed to show it to the lawyers putting together that FISA application. And worse yet, they don't give it to the agents working the Crossfire Hurricane case. And then when Mr. Durham does his investigation, he's talking with one of those agents in the reported supervisory agent number 1. He tells that agent, here's the referral memo. Did you see this? He didn't see it. He lets him read it. When the guy gets done reading it, he gets emotional. He gets up, leaves the room with his lawyer, comes back in, sits down. I mean, he says, I should have had this information. This could have changed everything. But Jim Comey and Peter Strzok kept it from him, a good agent trying to do his job. I mean, he was ticked off that he didn't have it. So I think this just underscores why we have to, this Congress, fundamentally change the FISA process. It's up for reauthorization by December 31st. We Republicans in the House are committed to not letting that thing get reauthorized in its current form and making dramatic changes to it.
Why didn't John Durham get this out before the election in 2020? That's question number 1. And question number 2, Jim Jordan, I would guarantee you that if I or anybody in this wonderful audience we have here tonight, if they lied before a FISA court judge and gave them information that they knew wasn't corroborated, the FBI offered Christopher Steele over $1 million to corroborate any part of that dossier before they filed the first FISA application. He couldn't corroborate a thing, but they used it anyway. It says at the top of that FISA application, correct me if I'm wrong, verified. That means they purposely, willfully lied to FISA court judges not once but 4 times. 3 of those FISA warrants signed by James Comey himself.
To spy on American citizens who were associated with the presidential campaign. That's what they did. That's why it's so egregious. I think John Durham did a good job. I think he did as good a job as he could have done. He tried to interview certain people.
Why
he tried to go to the
them?
Source of this whole...
Why didn't he get Comey and Strzok in there and Page in there?
Yeah, I think he tried. When you go, you got to be careful when you go to the grand jury. Certain rules you have to follow. It was tough, but he tried to go to the source of all this. This guy named Mifsud in Italy. He traveled clear to Italy to try to find him. I wish he would have, because that's where this whole thing started. But you're right, Sean. 60% of the American people think there's a double standard at the FBI. They think that because there is, and that's what has to change. And it starts with the appropriation process with House Republicans and making sure FISA doesn't get reauthorized in its current form.
3 years too late and too little and too few indictments. But it was important what you revealed to the country today. Thank you for doing that.